What if I told you Nigeria was never meant to be a country?
That the place we see today on the map is not something that naturally came together, but something shaped by decisions that forced very different people into one space.
In 1914, a British colonial officer named Lord Frederick Lugard made a decision that would change millions of lives forever. At the time, what we now know as Nigeria was divided into two separate regions, the Northern and Southern Protectorates. Each had its own cultures, religions, and systems of governance.
But for the British Empire, running them separately was costly, so Lugard decided to merge both regions into one single colony. It was a decision made for administrative convenience, not unity. Different people, different identities forced together under one name. And over 100 years later, that moment still echoes through the nation today. The problem wasn't just the merger itself, it was what came after.
Over 250 ethnic groups were brought together under one colony, each with different languages, cultures, and belief systems. The North and South were never naturally united. They were built on completely different foundations.
In the North, governance relied on traditional rulers and Islamic institutions. In the South, Western education, Christianity, and direct colonial administration had already reshaped society in a different direction. These differences affected everything: education, politics, and even how people viewed leadership.
Instead of building unity, the system created imbalance. Some regions developed faster than others, and that gap slowly turned into suspicion and competition. There was no strong national identity holding people together, only a forced structure under colonial rule. So on paper, it looked like one country, but in reality, it was many different societies trying to function as one. As the war dragged on, life became even more difficult for millions of people. Entire towns were cut off from supplies,
and communication between regions broke down. What started as a political
crisis had now turned into a full-scale humanitarian disaster. People were forced to flee their homes in search of safety.
Many families became displaced, unsure if they would ever return to their land again.
The countryside and cities alike were deeply affected, with infrastructure collapsing under the pressure of ongoing conflict.
International attention
grew as reports of suffering spread
beyond the country's borders. Aid organizations struggled to reach affected areas,
while negotiations for peace continued in the background.
After nearly 3 years of intense fighting,
the war finally came to an end in
1970 with the
surrender of the breakaway region. The country was reunited once again under a single government.
But even after peace was declared, the effects of the war did not simply disappear. The trauma, the losses, and the deep divisions remained in the hearts of many people,
shaping trust, politics, and unity for generations to come.
Today,